So are Chelsea going to go bust?
No, I don't think so. You've got a queue of people that want to buy the football club, and I'm aware of one of the purchasers that believes that this transaction can be completed in under a month. I don't think he'll end up being the person that owns the football club, but he believes that there's an ability to do this transaction in under a month.
And you've spoken to this person?
And there's some interesting other stuff going around. The rumour mill suggests that maybe the Chelsea pitch owners, who own the freehold of the pitch and also the naming rights of Chelsea, might find themselves in the middle of a discussion about having a golden share.
So what does that mean, Tom?
Well, it basically means that you put the fans in a situation where you've almost got a 50+1 scenario with the Chelsea pitch owners having the ability to veto what an owner wants to do with football club.
Oh, like the Bundesliga.
Yeah. Now I don't see how anybody coming into a football club that's going to spend $1.5 billion or $3 billion or whatever is going to be this club's going to be sold for, and then put into some sort of escrow that goes to the alluded to Ukrainian war victims. I don't see anybody coming in spending $1.5 billion or £3 billion to be told by the Chelsea pitch owners. This is something I've heard. I'm not saying it's based upon facts.
Okay.
Giving them the opportunity to veto what an owner may want to do. Not sure many people would want to do that,
but they own the ground, yeah.
They own the pitch and they own the naming rights of Chelsea. So going with that in mind, going back to the original question, there is a belief amongst the buying community that this is a transaction that can be completed relatively quickly. The government aren't going to stop this transaction. All they're going to do is ring fence the proceeds.
So do you think we'll get a new Chelsea owner inside a month?
I don't. I maybe a little bit longer than a month, but I don't see any complications in the acquiring process unless Abramovich does not play ball and sits there legally and goes back on what he said. And what would be the benefit of that? He's being dragged into the public domain, the very place he wants to get out of. So Abramovich legally can object to this, but I think the government have got a mechanism to enforce ownership. That's the reasons why they've enabled a new bill through Parliament this week.
Yeah, so many messages coming in, Simon, and I'll put as many as I can, like we did yesterday. There's Ryan. Do you ask Simon what would happen if Abramovich decides not to sell?
Well, this is the question I just answered. I think the government have got an executable model of being able to get some sort of administrative control and to dispose of this asset, because that's in part the reasons why they passed the various bills they've passed in the last week or so about being able to sanction these oligarchs.
Yeah.
There is something very unique about the football situation, but it's not beyond the wits of the government to be able to enact a process to do exactly what's required. The last thing the British government want is an asset that has the world recognisability of Chelsea Football Club, irrespective of its only £300 million a year turnover, to be driven into a situation where it no longer exists. That will not happen.
Yeah.
That will not happen.
Those chants last night, I mean, Martin, we've all got our own views on them. Chelsea fans at Carroll Road last night, a minority of them, so we're told, chanting Abramovich's name. There's one message coming in. Chelsea fans are not that ignorant to know what's going on in the world right now. The chants aren't for the destruction of Ukraine. They're simply in support of Abramovich and the Abramovich era. I mean, no, that's a very point. I mean, right now, we don't want to hear any celebration of Abramovich's name because of it's completely inappropriate to be hearing it. Wouldn't you agree? Jay, big Chelsea fan who joins us live. Jay, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good, Jay. Thanks for calling in. What do you want to say?
Well, I mean, I've been a lifelong Chelsea fan all the way.
So you were there last night?
No, I don't get to go to games nowadays, unfortunately. But I'm an armchair fan. But I think, the chanting of Chelsea fans is really sad. I mean, for me, I think the worry is that things that have been going on with fans chanting and the continuation of issues in Ukraine is kind of almost making Chelsea a little bit of a hate figure. And for me, Mr. Abramovich has brought a lot of success to Chelsea. There is the argument, and a valid one, that his money has also turned the Premier League into a little bit of an unsustainable joke, really, in the amounts of transfers and stuff. But for a Chelsea fan, I think most of us would agree that he's done great things for the club. He's not done great things for the Premier League, but as Simon said, we're not going to go out of business, definitely not. But I would just like to see this kind of done and dusted before the name of Chelsea represents something that it doesn't. Its owners' actions don't reflect the club, and the club doesn't reflect the owners' actions. And for me, really, whether moving forward Chelsea don't spend the money they want to, I don't really care about that. For me, the best time as a Chelsea fan were the mid and late 90s, early 2000s, when you know, we had teams that were almost there but not quite. Yeah, it's sad, really. Ultimately, you know, everything that's going on. It's a shame that the football club and a minority of the fans are kind of, you know,
yes,
putting the focus in the wrong areas. Ultimately,
I know what you're saying, Jay. Listen, thanks for the call. Many Chelsea fans getting in touch. Martin, I'll come to you in a second, but let's just hear from Barry, who's been waiting. Barry, good morning. Another Chelsea fan. How are you?
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I've been a Chelsea fan since 1957 when my uncle took me at the age of 12, and I've been a fan ever since. I have to say I'm slightly offended. Constant indication from people like yourselves is that we're all tarred with the same brush. We're all racist, we're all idiots, we're all nasty people. That's not true.
And that's not what we're saying, Barry, as you know.
No, let me finish. I've walked out of Chelsea before now, when I unfortunately got sat next to some people who were muttering. Do you remember at the time the guy was not allowed to get on the train in the tube in Paris?
Yes.
And they're sitting there saying, I'm a racist. Then we've got idiots. Every club has got idiots, not just Chelsea. Put some balance into your reporting, please.
Yeah, but we have done, Barry. That's inappropriate because we started this particular piece with qualifying it with a minority. We referenced David Mellor's observations. We didn't do what you just said. That you're not right there. You can't make it a binary option that certain media reporting it one way and bring us into it, because we didn't do that.
You don't give balance.
Yes, we did.
We did, Barry.
We absolutely did, Barry. We started the whole segment with a minority of Chelsea fans. The bulk of Chelsea fans do not operate this way.
Barry. So, Barry, did a minority of Chelsea fans chant Abramovich's name last night?
Say again?
Did a minority of Chelsea fans chant Abramovich's name last night?
I don't know if it was a majority. It's always, don't you know that yet? It's always the away supporters who are the extreme. Haven't you learned that from football?
No, we're struggling to hear him, unfortunately. Martin, sorry, you were going to say.
Well, no, I was going to ask Barry if he was at the game last night. Could the Chelsea fans actually police it themselves, try and work to quieten down those fans that are chanting Abramovich's name?
Yeah,
you know, that's what you really want to see, isn't it? The fans try and solve it themselves, and it does compound the sort of they want to separate this hatred which may be going towards Chelsea now as a football club because Putin's involvement with their owner is intrinsically linked together.
Yeah.
And when the fans sing that song, it's really quite appalling.
Philip, you're a Norwich fan and you were at the game last night, I understand. Is that right? Good morning.
Yeah, I was at the game last night. I'm not a Norwich fan actually, but I do have a Norwich season ticket anyway.
I see.
But I was at the game last night. Chelsea pretty much sold out their section. It was pretty full in there. And as for a minority of those fans singing it, absolute rubbish. They had their hands in the air while they were singing it, so it's quite obvious to see how many Chelsea fans were singing his name out loud, and I'd say pretty much 99% of them, from top to bottom. They were booed by the Norwich fans throughout the whole stadium, and it wasn't just once. They probably sang that song probably 5 times over the course of the game.
What do you think? What do you think it is, Philip? Is it ignorance? Is it arrogance? Is it defiance?
Well, I think Simon said it all. I mean, of course, he's done a massive amount for that club. Nobody can deny that. But at this current moment in time, it is inappropriate. And like I think one of the guys said earlier, you're just going to turn Chelsea into a hated team. They're going to be, made deplorable by everybody. It didn't go down well last night at all.
I want to thank you, Philip, for taking time out. Here's Jason, who's a Chelsea fan. He'll take us to the break, probably. We're going to get you in here. Jason, good morning.
Good morning. You okay?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate. Thank you for taking time out to call. What's your take on this at the moment? Because your club's very much in the headlines for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, definitely. I'm appreciative of obviously what Abramovich has done over the years, as the other caller said, regarding what he had brought to the club. But
yes.
What I don't agree with, and I'm ashamed of the ones who stood there last night chanting their name. They should have been a little bit more savvy on what is actually going on. And I disagree completely with the previous caller, Barry, where he was saying that yourself and Simon were bracketing all Chelsea fans as idiots and stuff, because I've listened to this, and on a number of occasions, especially Simon on this, has said that the majority of Chelsea fans are good people, and every club does have a bunch of idiots, unfortunately, and ours seemed to be at Carrow Road last night.
Yeah. Jason, we're going to head to a break. Just in a couple of sentences, are you worried about the future for your club?
Of course I am, yeah. I'd like to see somebody, obviously, who goes in with the best interest. I'd like to... It would be the same, not just because it's Chelsea, with any club. You don't want to see any club go out of business. You want to... Obviously, there's a lot of people that football's their life, and, you know, it brings a lot of people together. And, yeah, I'd like to see, obviously, it continue. I would never want to see any club go out of business.
Sure.
So hopefully there can be, as Simon pointed out maybe 5 or 10 minutes ago, it'll be resolved quickly, resolved in the right way. People who don't deserve to be involved with the club now aren't, and then Chelsea as a football club can go on and build some bridges with people.
Jason, you sound like a good man. Thanks for the call. Coming up to 10 to 11 this Friday morning.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.